Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Gregory Brennan. I'm the Sustainable Transportation and Infrastructure Manager with Virginia Clean Cities, and today we're going to be talking all things EV chargers. So if you'd like to know more about that, please listen in. There's a question and answer section at the end with a lot of conversation. Please feel free to send us an email if you have your own questions listening to this later. Like I said, my name is Gregory Brennan, and my email is gbrennan@vacleancities.org. Please feel free to reach out. With that, let's get into it. One of the main reasons we're hosting this EVSE 101 webinar is because Virginia Clean Cities currently has two programs we are administering in Virginia that give away free chargers to qualifying locations. If you are interested in putting EV chargers at your site, at your location, at your business, at your place of work, please reach out to me or Tarah or anyone from our team at Virginia Clean Cities. Like I said, our website is vacleancities.org. You can check out these programs. It's called Rural Reimagined or the Mid-Atlantic Electrification Partnership. Like I said, both are offering free chargers to qualifying sites. And with that, let's introduce who will be speaking today. Today's speakers include two experts from the ChargePoint team for ChargePoint chargers, and then we also have Keith Harless, the town manager of Pennington Gap, who has gone through some of our programs here at Virginia Clean Cities and installed ChargePoint chargers in his town. So some of you have likely heard of Virginia Clean Cities and the work that we do, but for those of you who haven't, here is a little information about who we are, and those of you already know, it's a refresher. So Virginia Clean Cities is housed at James Madison University. We are nonprofit funded. We are federally funded by the U.S. Department of Energy, so the DOE, and in partnership with the Vehicle Technologies Office. And our main goal is to improve air quality, increase economic opportunity, and energy security in the transportation sector. So we do all things clean fuels. Basically anything that isn't petrol or diesel based, we are promoting it. So we have biodiesel, electricity, ethanol, even blends of fuel like biodiesel B20, B5, or ethanol E15, hybrid vehicles even, CNG vehicles. So all things clean fuels, that's our main goal, is to increase air quality and reduce emissions in the transportation sector. We're going to talk a little bit today about some EV programs that Virginia Clean Cities currently has on the books. And let's get things started with Rural Reimagined, for which Keith Harless, who is here today, experienced and used this program to get an EV charger in Pennington Gap. So this is specific to Appalachia. There are demo vehicles, both a Ford Lightning and a Chevy Bolt, which you can demo in your locality if you're interested. This comes with free level 2 charging stations for qualifying sites, and it can include up to $2,000 for installation if you are a qualifying site that gets into level 2 charger. The program was just recently renewed, and this is open to both private and public entities. So when I say a qualifying site, what does it even mean? Well, there's a site assessment form, which we'll talk about in the next slide. But if you are a qualifying site, there are a couple things you need to manage if you get an EV charger. So first off, you need to do the site preparation. So that would be trenching, concrete pouring, laying cable, things of that nature. The charger itself would need to be publicly accessible to the community and beyond. You need to monitor the usage and share data with us here at Virginia Clean Cities and the prime for this grant, which is Tennessee Tech University. Anything above the $2,000 of reimbursement would be the responsibility of the site host to pay, and then operation and maintenance for the chargers, which we will talk a little bit later about what that looks like with ChargePoint. So what equipment is available on this program? Currently there are level 2 charging stations, both wall mounted and pedestal mounted. There is a direct current fast charger, also known as a EVSE, that's available in this program. But most of the chargers and most sites qualify for the level 2 charging port, which you can see here. This is a dual port charger, and they also have a single port charger. For the direct current fast charger, the EVSE, there is a higher cost associated with the installation. Therefore, it has a higher reimbursement of $7,000. If you think you are a qualifying site, please reach out to us here at Virginia Clean Cities, and we would love to talk to you about it. So now that you have seen some of the equipment that's available in this program and the demonstration vehicles and have a little bit of an overview of how the program works, if you're interested, the process looks a little something like this. You submit a site assessment form to us here at Virginia Clean Cities with like your name, address, what kind of charger you want, parking spaces available. From that assessment, we send it to Tennessee Tech University, the prime on this grant. They get National Environmental Protection Agency, so NEPA approval for that site, which should have no problem for anyone here on this call likely. Once approved, the site host agreement is submitted to Tennessee Tech. Chargers are shipped to you directly for installation, and then once you install them, you keep your receipts and you send a proof of install. And once you send that to Tennessee Tech and it's approved, they will send you a reimbursement check for up to $2,000 for the installation. The other program I want to highlight here that is EV centric is called the Mid-Atlantic Electrification Partnership. And we at VCC are administering this to all of Virginia and the Commonwealth, but it goes across Virginia, Maryland, DC, and West Virginia. So this is all about getting EV chargers into places where they are not. We have currently used Green Spot and Blink chargers, but now with this new iteration of the program, we are using ChargePoint chargers, which is why we have ChargePoint on this call today. With this program, it's very similar to Rural Reimagine in that we send you a site assessment form that asks for your name and your address, how many parking spaces you have, what kind of chargers you're hoping you have, what kind of power access do you have. From that, we're able to get you the National Environmental Protection Agency approval, so NEPA approval comes pretty quickly for us. And then we are able to drop ship you the charger if you are approved. And then the site host is on or has the responsibility of installing said charger and maintaining it for those 5 years and providing data and information. The difference with this one mainly is that there is not reimbursement funds available for the installation. So like I said, each host would be responsible for the installation cost on their own. However, Keith and a few other people that have installed their chargers have been able to do it at minimal cost to themselves. So we talk about this later here in the call, but now I'm going to pass it over to Tarah to talk about some other EV programs.
Today, we're glad to see all of those. Rob and his team and Keith also are going to be able to get the answers for those for you pretty quickly. Apologies, I traded my kid for a puppy for the following hour to Puppy Sense, so hopefully enjoy looking at a cute puppy while I speak. But these are some other electric vehicle programs we have at Virginia Clean Cities, and our staff of 9 works really hard to bring these programs across the Commonwealth. Drive Electric Virginia, that focuses more on consumer education. We do that through our electric utilities, through EV clubs, and then also working closely with dealerships on that program. Empower, that's more of a workplace charging program, and that provides free calls, technical assistance if you're looking at putting in chargers at your workplace. And it also recognizes the employees who signed the pledge and who want to expand charging access to their employees. It goes on a national website for everybody to see that that's something you encourage and participate in. Charging Smart, this is a great program. It's a sister to Soul Smart, if you've heard of that program, and it recognizes communities for EV readiness. It's no cost technical service. This is only available to counties and cities right now, not towns, but it's a great way to say, hey, we're ready to welcome EVs. And then also we have Charge at Home, and this provides tools and resources to multifamily complexes that want to, or multifamily housing that want to provide charging to their residents there. So also some great opportunities there. Feel free to reach out to us after the webinar if you want some more information on those. Greg, back to you.
Thanks, Tarah. Now I'm going to pass it over to our ChargePoint experts here. I'm going to stop sharing and let Rob take over the screen for me.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, great. Okay, let me just go ahead and present. Give me just one sec.
Rob, you muted yourself in the process. See your screen
Thanks.
though.
Too many things to click on. Sorry about that, guys. Appreciate it. If anybody has trouble seeing the presentation, just let me know. Jump in and scream at me. But like I said earlier, my name's Rob. I'm the Senior Director of Marketing here. I'm just going to run you through a quick presentation, a little bit about ChargePoint, and then I'll try to just answer questions as well once we get through the slides and answer some of the ones I saw in there as we go through it. But essentially, if you want to know a little bit about ChargePoint and who we are, We've been in this business for about 20 years. So like we put the first chargers in the ground before there were actually commercial vehicles on the road. And people use our chargers every second. So somebody's plugging into a ChargePoint charger. And I think that speaks to the breadth and the trustworthiness that our chargers can bring when you're working closely with us. We got about 82% of Fortune 50 companies now using ChargePoint, including 14 major auto manufacturer integrations, right? So lots of charges, lots of places to charge, etc. When you think about, sorry, next slide. When you think about where we're at, so we, one of the largest companies in terms of employees, in terms of who, provides EV charging, and I think that speaks to our robustness and our stability as a business. When you look at our L2 port coverage in the U.S. and Canada, we are bigger than the next 13 competitors combined, right? So we've done this, we've been there, we know how to do it. We're also number 2 in CCS DC in U.S. and Canada. So again, both of these places we have a strong foothold, across North America, which we're very proud of. But also, I think it speaks to sort of, the trust that you can put in us in terms of our chargers. When you think about EV a little bit right now, so we obviously think about this in terms of where things are in the country today. So one cool thing is that you can find on our website is there's a great page called chargepoint.com/incentives. It'll show you where all the incentives are, both at the state level and at the federal level. There's lots of FUD around this, and we always just like to dispel that, like, hey, we're actually, in a place where you can still get a lot of incentives, and EV charging is still a really great benefit that you can offer. We're also seeing that EVs are here to stay. You might see reports that EV sales are declining, and that's just simply not the case. They grow every single year. It will keep growing. And so that need for the infrastructure to support those vehicles is just going to keep on growing and growing. So we like to make sure that folks see that this trend is not going anywhere. It is still very much a growing industry that we want to be able to take advantage of. All right, so let's get into the fun stuff. Let's talk about the portfolio. So what ChargePoint offers is really a comprehensive portfolio of products and services that can help you at every step of the way. Whether you're a mom and pop shop that wants to put in a couple chargers, or you're a giant fleet that's going to manage thousands of charges a day, right? That starts with our software, right? So the software gives you unparalleled visibility and control over what's happening with your charging program, so that you can see everything, understand any issues that are coming, and be able to go ahead and take action on them, but ultimately be able to run it in the most cost efficient and reliable way for your business. It's all within one single platform and dashboard that you can use, and it's really the way that we bring your entire program together. Obviously, the other big piece is the software or the hardware, right? So we have a comprehensive portfolio of hardware that really meets, the need of any business, any driver, any budget, right? So we talked about the level 2 and the level 3 options. I want to go into a couple of the questions that came up about the level 2. So the level 2s are networked, yes, that they can be used for any business use case. So, and I think I'll go back and check into the questions, but I wanted to address both of those right off the bat. When you think about these, we offer multiple different options. Like, for example, we've got dual port options on many of these. We make sure that, when you install these, that you've got a maximum amount of flexibility to fit whatever space you have. And the other cool thing about this, and what really brings together our business, is our services. So this is really how we are able to come and live up to the promise that we can be your partners in electrification. We have services that are consultative services, whether those are site prep services, whether those are financing services, whether they're services to help you, figure out what kind of, electrical upgrades you need to make in order to support your program. We have deployment services. So once you're ready to put these things in the ground, we can help you every step of that process. And then once they're in the ground, we've got our Assure. We've also got a number of other different support services, so that you can be sure that whatever happens, your charger is going to be, able to live and survive for many years going forward. So we really do want to emphasize that, like, this can be confusing. This isn't everybody's core business, but it's ours, and we have a unique set of capabilities across both hardware, software, and then the services to put it all together, so that we can make sure that you're successful with your EV charging program. We've also got an app, and there's a bunch of stats here, but the thing that I think is most important here is the quarterly active drivers, right? Effectively, by having this app that allows you to find, use, and pay for charging, what we can deliver to anybody who puts chargers in the ground are those drivers, if they're looking to do public charging, if they're looking to bring drivers to their business for any reason, we can help you attract those with over 1 million actives. We also estimate that about 75% of new EV drivers download the ChargePoint app, as soon as they get an EV. So I think that speaks to sort of the breadth and the usefulness of it for drivers who are getting into this for the first time. The last thing I'll share is just a cool thing, because one of the big things that hits the news all the time is about charger vandalism, right? And so to combat that, we've actually just put out into the market cut-resistant cables. When you see these things get cut, it's usually about a half a second that it takes somebody to go cut, and they can take out, 10, 15 in a minute or two, right? What we've developed is a very simple steel reinforced cable so that it takes you much longer. It's not impossible, but it takes you much longer to cut through a cable. And in addition to that, we've got a new product called ChargePoint Protect, which allows folks or what happens is there's a heat sensor on the cable, and when they start to try to cut it, an alarm goes off, both visual and audible alarms on not just that station, but the surrounding stations, so that any thieves know that they're in trouble and they need to stop what they're doing. So through those things, we think that we're actually really maximizing the value of the investment that you're making in EV charging, and making it much less of a concern that someone's actually going to be able to steal your asset that you've put into the ground. I'm going to pause there because I know there's a ton of questions, and I want to sort of take a step back. I'll jump into the chat, but I wanted to sort of open it up. Greg, I'm not sure if now is when we wanted to just sort of like open it up for questions, but if that works, I'm happy to sort of take any questions about ChargePoint.
Yeah, sure. So thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it. So we did get a lot of questions. I was answering some of them while Rob was speaking. But I can start from the top. If you guys would like to raise your hand and come off mute and ask them, if you do not feel comfortable doing that, you're more than welcome to type them into the chat, which I will read off. But I think some of the first ones we had were, someone asked, what is your definition of rural? And I responded with, there once was a map that delineated those locations, but now it's relative. But I usually use the USDA rural mapping tool. So if you would financially qualify for USDA funding, then it's considered rural. Karen asked the question, is L2 networked or non-networked? And then with that, if a networked, do the owners know there are networking fees to add into OPEX? So I'll let Rob, you want to take that one?
Yeah, and I did mention that, yes, the L2s are networked. And yes, when we sell them, all of our chargers are sold with a cloud plan. So we have the software that I showed a little bit earlier that is sold with cloud plans that have different levels of feature functionality depending on what the needs of your business are. So it's all included in a single package when we sell the chargers and the installation and all the rest of the components.
Thanks, Rob. Karen, looks like you have your hand up. We were answering your questions. Go ahead.
Thank you. And I'm kind of meeting bombing you folks. I'm actually the EV program manager.
So going on down the line here, I'm just looking at some questions were written in. Any update on when or if there will be a Charging Smart regional pathway for planning district commissions, like via SolSmart? Bruce, did you want to take that? I know you replied there, but
yeah, sure. Everybody, Bruce Felk, EV Program Manager and Communications Director here at VCC. This is a great suggestion from Nicole Keller at Plan RVA. It has been done in the SolSmart program. We've had some discussions with the national team. They have not made a decision yet. The Charging Smart program, it's Department of Energy funded. IRAC, which is Interstate Renewable Energy Council, is the lead, and we're the lead for Virginia. Virginia Clean Cities is. I'm going to bring it up at the next meeting. I think it's a great idea. Planning commissions, district commissions are crucial partners in that work and other work. So we do appreciate the work you do in the communities. So that said, right now, no major updates, but I'll champion that sentiment, Nicole.
thanks, Bruce. Appreciate it. Ben Kessler had a question. It says, how is pricing determined with the site hosts? Do you mean like price per kilowatt, like the charger itself? Is that what you're asking, Ben?
Yeah, correct. As a site host, what are you charging visitors per kilowatt hour for usage?
Keith, would you mind answering that one?
Yeah, I saw that question and I was texting my person. We broke ours down, so we're charged. I think we get our power from Kentucky Utilities, and I think we're charging. They're charging us. I want to say 13 or 14 cents a kilowatt or something, and so we do ours by the hour. I think I mean, ChargePoint is great about that. Uh, portfolio that Rob showed you, you can actually go in there and set whatever you want on your what you want to collect for it. I think we do like $3.50 for so many minutes or hour or something like that. So, but I failed to have that in my notes right now, but I'm getting somebody to look into it.
Thank you,
What
Keith.
Oh, yes, you're welcome, Ben. Well, what I can say is that it's on average in Virginia, it's 14 cents per kilowatt. And that's the charging rate. So like when we charge for it, if someone wants to charge make a profit off of it, it's somewhere between 25, 35 cents in that range. That's what we have seen across the board. I've got other questions here. So what all does the site assessment entail? Any special local or state permits required for installation of the charging station? What I can say is a site assessment form simply asks your name, address, location. The National Environmental Protection Agency program, so the NEPA form that I mentioned, it's simply asking that like it's previously disturbed land, it's not historic, and it's not tribal land. So without those three things, you don't need special permits. There's a categorical exclusion for the EV charger installations. So there's not a lot of permits you would need to get on our side of things. Now, local or local permitting may need to happen if depending on if you have to add to your electrical box or cabling or to trench, whatever. That may be like site by site. But some of them don't. Some of them are able to essentially bore a hole through a wall and bring a 120 or 240 volt wire out and to power the charger. Tarah or Rob, do you want to elaborate on that?
Whitney, do you want to jump in here? I feel like you might have a good answer here. My colleague Whitney Schmidt is also on the call.
For the pricing specifically, or for the, I'm reading and listening. I can comment on a couple of things. So I do a ton of rural programs in the southeastern US, and the pricing for the level 2, I think the 14 cents is about accurate. We see 53 cents per kilowatt hour on average across the country. We typically will recommend about 48 cents per kilowatt hour on DC fast, and I've seen everything from 14 to 27 cents on L2. And as he mentioned, it really depends on where you are. I wanted to, if I have a second, to make a comment on the networked versus non-networked. One of the reasons networked is so important is because we can get data like the following, particularly for rural areas. And I just ran this last week for the EMCs in North Carolina on our rural electrification program that we've done. And in North Carolina, over the last year, just across 17 stations that are in very rural areas, we had almost 2,000 vehicles show up with less than a 10% charge, and they were over 30 miles from the next available charging station. So if you need any assistance advocating for these programs, for site hosts, for the importance of rural charging, this is no longer an environment where the city takes all, or the towns and the subdivisions take all. This is an environment where these rural charging stations are very important, because without those charging stations there, that's close to 2,000 people that surely would have been stranded because they could not make it any farther. So those are all kind of important components of this. And of course, we wouldn't have that data if the stations weren't networked, and the drivers, which 3 of those times out of the 2,000 were me, wouldn't know that the charging stations were there, because they're in the middle of literally nowhere else. But we can help you with pricing strategies. We can take a look at the stations around you. We can take a look at utilization, and help determine what's appropriate there. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah, thank you so much, Whitney. I wanted to come back to the question about permitting requirements. Keith, can you talk about how you got yours installed? Were there any special permits you needed to pull with the county or city?
I'll just go ahead and start kind of what I was wanting to talk about, and hopefully it answers some of the questions that are popping up.
Thank you, Keith.
So, like Taryn said, we got involved with Virginia Clean Cities and the Rural Reimagine program there, and Matt and Alan, they let me bring from Harrisonburg to Pennington the Chevy Volt, and I was able to bring it to Pennington and ride around and try to let the people know, have them in the thought process of electric vehicles, and like Rob said, these cars are here to stay, and getting people used to seeing them here in our area. And our area is very rich and heritage in the coal mines and coal industry. So, we have those discussions all the time with clean energy in this area. So I was able to use, the car to show the public, and I had the local newspaper do articles about it. We used our social media, uh, trying to just help get the word out. So if you've got a small town and you have these naysayers or people, that talk about it, that was a great opportunity to open up the door and let people in. So our first while he's in waiting for the grant and everything for the program, um, Matt helped me. We ended up getting a charging station here for our town hall, and we made it free. And just because we didn't want to be a desert, a charging desert. And if you looked on the ChargePoint and all the other apps, there was no really charging stations close by to us. So my goal as the town manager was, okay, I need to welcome these people here in our town, and make sure if they're traveling electric car, we want to be a destination. So we started out with the free one, and people was using it. I was able to get it on one of the apps for location. And in the meantime, we was finishing up the ChargePoint, the grant process with Tennessee Tech University and stuff. And I think, Greg, you shared our photo of our charging station there in your presentation. But once we got the ChargePoint, the charger and everything, so my background actually is, in construction and electric, actually in the coal industry, but I'm actually a master electrician certified in the state of Virginia and Tennessee. So I was able to take advantage of my knowledge and our in-house maintenance staff on the installation of the charging station. So what we looked at, we on our application that he mentioned about the location, we presented that to ChargePoint, and it was on our main street, and it's walking distance from our downtown restaurants, and also we have our own theater that we have shows and stuff. So our ideas was, well, if someone's watching a show at the theater, they can be charging their car at the same time. And then there's some steps you have to go through to ChargePoint. Verification of, if you got good cell service or good Wi-Fi, those connectivities, you have to kind of list that in your application. And if those are questions, they actually make products and tools that's in their charging in their handbook that they give you that you can buy, and it gives the ChargePoint people and Rob, you can correct me if you have to, but it kind of gives them an idea of, make sure that you got the proper service and stuff. And we took advantage of one of our electric services also that was downtown. So we just, with our installation of the product, once the ChargePoint give us the okay on the location and everything, then it's just the standard building permit with your local building officials. You just get it's just for new electric, more or less plug in, and so the permit fees is relatively cheap. In some areas don't charge a local town or whatever for the fees, but and then for ourselves in-house, like I said, we had minimal cost. I don't even think we asked for the reimbursement that was available. We basically just dug the ditch and ran the wire. The one that we used, the ChargePoint CT 4000. It's a dual charger that was presented there, and I want to think it was like 40 amps or very low amps. So the wire size and everything wasn't expensive at all. You pour your pedestal pad and then you can set it up and install it yourself. The only thing you have to be aware of is ChargePoint. They want to make sure whoever is putting these devices online, they have to go to you have to get on and get certified in ChargePoint University, and that is a thing. And you can get certified in your home installation or business or whatever. And it just makes sure that whoever's installing it, the electrician or whatever's got the qualifications, and they make sure that you know how ChargePoint wants them to be hooked up, and they give you the minimum wire size. It's very very upfront and very explanatory for people in the field of the electric service and everything. And they also got a support line. ChargePoint does. Even when it came to getting it hooked up, they give you a little code and everything and a little air card. I think spin a little bit, but and it just takes off. I would say on installation for us, which we was relatively close to a distribution electric center, and I would say our cost on everything was less than $500 material and everything. So that really wasn't impactful for us, and we used our in-house laborers and everything. So that was, we didn't really didn't see it. And like I said, for our charging part, so we're the only charging station here. Well, we got another town near me that's installed the one, and then a dealership has installed a DC charger. They're like 30 minutes away from me, but we're looking on an average of making. I got the numbers around $350 a month is what we're making off of the charging station, and according to our portfolio. So, that money has returned itself pretty good. That's pretty good investment for us. And we're also working with Tarah and Gregory about maybe installing another one at our welcome center at the park, because it don't hurt to have another one that meant for us, for the install and everything's relatively cheap. And like I said, ChargePoint has been excellent partnership, and the portfolio that they have, you can get on there anytime, and it's real user friendly. You can see when it's been charged, who's been charging there, how long they charged, and it kind of gives you a breakdown of what you're making and everything. So if anybody's got any other questions for me, I mean, I don't care. I mean, I kind of got a little advantage where I had electrical background, and where some towns I've spoke to them and they would have to hire somebody to do it. But then there's also the helpline with ChargePoint that for the people who are certified, you could actually, as minors do the work, get it to where a certain point, and then ChargePoint will put you in touch with a certified installer or something that could actually come out and verify it or do the final hookup for you, if that's right, Rob, I think. And but it's just super easy for us. We've been super excited. Virginia Clean Cities, Alan, I can't speak enough for that group, and I'm super excited to have Tarah on board now. But that I cannot explain how this has made a good impact for a small town where we're at. So if you're familiar with this side of Virginia, we're probably an hour west of Bristol, Virginia, and probably another hour to the end of the state, and 2 hours outside of Knoxville, Tennessee, and 2 hours outside of Asheville, North Carolina. And we do get those drive-through visitors, and we have found that those people that are coming visiting family, friends, the one that I've seen so far, the furthest one was someone from Oregon, and he said he'd come in to see his mother, and he would get a local newspaper that we have here, and he'd read in the local newspaper that we had a charger, and that was the one at the time at town hall. And so I got to spend some time talking to him, and we just now checked, and we actually got a car right now out there charging at the one on Main Street. They actually stopped here at town hall and asked us about it. So it's working out real great for us. And like I said, these are super people to work with. I wouldn't hesitate one bit to do another project with them, and just super easy for us. And if you got any, that's about all I got, Gregory. And if anybody's got any questions, I don't care to share what I know.
Yeah,
And Tara is going to be my agent for me for all these questions I get. So
perfect. Yeah, thank you so much, Keith. That's perfect. Just walking through what the process was like. There's a lot of questions that have come through in the chat. I'll try to answer a few of them. I wanted to get to Zach's question about financing. Zach, would you mind coming off mute and describing more about your questions?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I mean, a lot of the talk about grants and other money availability is a little bit more widely known. What I was interested in finding out, if anybody knew more about, on the private side of things, any banks or financial institutions that have really put it out there that they are interested in financing either equipment or even installation of equipment. If you all knew anything on that side of it.
I will say that I know a few of our partners have essentially, they lease a spot from a locality or location, and lease the equipment to those people, and there's a revenue share of whatever profits are. But I am not sure of anything outside of that, like actual financing. Rob or Whitney, do you guys know of anything, either through ChargePoint or otherwise?
So we
I
use. Oh, go ahead,
was
Whitney.
going to say,
Oh,
yeah,
go ahead.
I can answer that. We've had some folks use a company called Great America Finance, and there are some other banks that have programs that will definitely finance this. What kind of financing that is kind of depends on what you're doing with the installation, whether it's just sort of a straight loan and straight financing, or if it is, in fact, we have started to see a lot of this, a business model where it is DC fast charging to make money. So it kind of runs the gamut. And we do have different folks who have dealt with different companies, and some of them nonprofits, to do that. And there's one in particular that I'm thinking of, and I am just having a 3 p.m. moment where it's escaping me, but I'm going to send it over after this, because I'm gonna pop into my emails and I'm gonna find it. That's a nonprofit for munis and folks like that to finance these exact projects.
Cool. Yeah, I've talked to Great American before, but knowing what else is out there can certainly fill in that missing piece for a lot of people that they want to know everything that's available to them, every lever that they might be able to pull. So
Yep.
thank you guys for getting into that a little bit.
For sure. And one thing I'll say just really quickly, and we've heard it from a number of different entities, is especially with the last year in the industry, we have heard about entities that would finance that now are getting a little bit nervous. So if there is somebody that has a project that, and I always tell people this, plan your project and then figure out how to pay for it. We can help you do that. Sometimes it has to wait. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we can help you get really creative, but there is a little bit of nervousness we found on the part of some traditional financiers that we've seen in these projects before. So we may not be able to help with it, but we've been successful recently.
Cool. Thank you, Whitney. Appreciate it. Karen, I see you have your hand up. I'm going to answer one more question, then I'll come back to you. Harrison, you said, so assuming you qualify for the Rural Reimagine program and you get the level 2 charger that you get to keep, needing to pay for site prep, installation, operation, maintenance, liability, etc. Short answer is yes. So the DC fast charger, or no, I'm sorry, the charger, whether it's a DC fast charger or the level 2 charger, is the site host to keep after those 5 years of it being public, and you are able to uninstall it. You are able to maintain it and take revenue from it from day one, but also after that, it is yours to use as you see fit. But that's all right, Harrison, no worries. So and then the installation is the largest cost, obviously. Like Whitney was saying, it can be around 20,000 per parking spot. For us in here in Virginia, that's a little on the higher side. You will be getting the charging equipment for free, which knocks off around $5,000 to $7,000 for the charging unit. And then additionally, if you're in a municipality where, like Keith was saying, you have in-house electricians and technicians, it's significantly lower, and much easier to install. And the permits and things you need to pull, you are the one approving them. Therefore, it's a lot easier. You don't need to go to someone else to get approval, or the city or the county. So I will say that a private entity that has a good relationship with the local government has not had a lot of pushback, and they've had a lot of success getting things installed because they see the value and the economic viability of a charger. Yeah, does that answer your question, Harrison? Yes, time frame is we're in the final year of Rural Reimagine program. And so if you can get your site assessment in, you can send me or Tarah. So Tarah Kesterson at tkesterson@vacleancities.org or gbrennan @vacleancities.org. Send us an email that you're interested, and we'll send you the site host agreement and get that ball rolling. It takes around 90 days to get approval, and then another 90 days for installation. So, but that's on the max side. Usually it's less than that. Yeah. All right, Karen, let me pass it to you. You have another question.
Yeah, just a really quick question for Mr. Harless. Mr. Harless, did you say your level 2 was free to the public?
No, the
Okay.
one that we initially installed here at Town Hall, as a trial until the grant process was complete, we made it free, and we still have it here at Town Hall. But the one that we got with the grant, ChargePoint, we charge for it. So and that's the one that we're averaging around $350 a month income with that one.
Thank you.
That's fantastic, Keith. Thank you. There's a good chance that I missed some questions here. Tarah, or anyone else want to come off mute and make sure those get heard?
I think you covered most of them, Greg. I was just scanning through.
Okay. Any other questions while we're here? Any questions about charging, charge speeds, what the equipment is like, or Bueller? Anyone? Figure this crowd's mixed enough that someone might get that joke. Yeah, I can, Harrison. I'll drop right here.
while we've got silence, I'll just say it's super exciting to see all the excitement around this and what's going on with this. So thanks, Tarah and Greg, for involving us, and we're super excited. So yeah, it's awesome to see everybody really rallying around here.
And I'll just throw in a question for Keith. You're more of a charging oasis here in Southwest Virginia on the map there. There's not many around you, but are you seeing an increase in out-of-town visitors coming to Pennington Gap because you have a charger?
Yeah, like the one that just stopped here today, the lady asked where she was from. She was from Tennessee, driving through. So, we're strategic located here where we border Kentucky and Tennessee, and our the road that goes through us, it's kind of the main road connecting the two states. So we've been blessed with having that traffic, and now they know they can stop and get something to eat, and it's helped restaurants. And we got a coffee shop that opened up right down from it, and they engage with their conversations a lot with people, and it gives the time for, as long as I got those people informed, they'll tell a little bit about the town and what events we got going on. So it's a economic impact for us for sure. Not just the money that we're making off of the money, but while they're sitting here charging, they'll go have lunch or dinner, and there's some little shops on Main Street. They'll walk around and do that type of thing. It's very successful for us so far.
Thanks, Keith. Rob and Whitney, would you all mind sharing your email addresses in the chat? Thank you. Appreciate it. One thing I wanted to finish off here with is that so once you have a charger, or if you're just curious where charging might be in your location, there is something called PlugShare. Some of you may have heard of.
I think we lost Greg there for a minute.
Charging deserts may or may not be.
Greg, you paused for a minute, so if you want to start that over.
Oh. Okay, I just got a notification. My internet was unstable. Okay, cool. What I was saying is that using plugshare.com, it allows you to see where the charging deserts are in your area. And also, if you were to go through one of these programs and get a charger, we would help you add this to PlugShare so that people would know about it. So this is a public-facing private company that manages this website. But then there's also the Alternative Fuel Data Center that has all of the sites across Virginia, public and private, for EV charging. And again, we would help you get your chargers into the system. But it's always just very interesting just to see where there are chargers and where there are not, whether you're in Virginia or Phoenix or somewhere along the Mid-Atlantic or East Coast. Yeah, any other questions? I know we're coming close to time here, but we have experts that I would like to utilize if someone has any other questions. Gareth, someone asked, do you all have recommendations for EVSE liability insurers? Keith or Rob or Whitney?
I can take that, or unless I have never in 10 years had a property insurance company require a rider or additional liability for a charging station. ChargePoint carries product liability that should meet any needs at all of your underwriting group. If you are running into a problem, we're happy to help. But it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but I have not run into a situation where there has been additional insurance required beyond regular property insurance.
Yeah, for us, it's covered in our blanket insurance policy, basically, and it's nothing really, to be honest with you.
Great. It's a good question. Okay, thank you. Thank you again to everyone for coming to this webinar. We really appreciate it. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email me or Tarah with those questions about EV chargers or any other types of alternative fuels. We look forward to hearing from you, and please join our newsletter and sign up for our email list. Thank you so much. Have a good one.